Here on the Shifting Realities podcast this week, Rob and I have been telling you to connect with heart space and work with heart space, and we've been giving you some challenges. So, this series is all about challenges. But I do have a feeling out in the collective that there's people going, I don't know why I need to connect with heart space. You might be wanting to connect with your guides. You might be wanting to just manifest things, have a better life, and think, oh, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to connect with guides. I want to open up my pineal gland. I want to open up my crown chakra, and that'll do it. But we want to draw you back into why you work with heart and how there are so many benefits to working with heart. In fact, so much that it's this profound changes you can make. I got a message from the guides to explain that never underestimate the power that you can have from working from within and connecting to your heart. That is what we're going to talk about on today's episode. First of all, we so appreciate you listening and watching, and we'd love you to hit that subscribe button, download and press a like, and share this with anyone else. So we're so grateful to all of you out there that are with us so far. Right. So many things. We've been talking to you about how to connect with heart space, giving you meditations. But what about the why? Why do we have to do it? So, Rob, do you want to make a start on this
Yeah,
for us?
sure. Why? Because if you access your heart space as a working area, let's say,
Mm,
there is no limit.
yes,
Absolutely
yes, yes.
no limit at all. When you're there, and you know when you're there because you feel it instinctively that you are
Mm,
home. It's this really grounded, amazing place
mm,
to be. But from your heart space, you can see all the versions of yourself, all the energies of yourself, how you interconnect, like mycelium that mushrooms throw out under trees. So every mushroom that grows through the leaf cover is an individual thing. But beneath it is this absolutely extraordinary, almost a telecommunication network where that entire structure communicates with itself and communicates with things it's growing with, communicates with the trees it's growing under. So we are like that. So I
mm.
guess, we are that mushroom. So you're the mushroom, you have mycelium. And if you are in your heart space, you are aware of your web of interconnectivity.
Yes.
You can see the matrix, you can see the universe, you can see the galactics and the planets, you can see your guides, you can see, most importantly, the truth of yourself. You can see the truth of your body, you can see the truth of your energy. So whatever you wish to manifest, whatever you want to change, however you want to grow, this is where you do it from most effectively. There are other things you can do. We can work on other chakras, of
Mm,
course we can, other
mm,
energy centers. We can work on third eye pineal gland opening,
mm,
all
mm.
sorts of work we can do that helps. But ultimately, if you don't come back to your heart slash your truth, you can't do this work properly. So you might do an exercise, say, to open your third eye, and it might be slightly effective, but I can guarantee that in a week's time it will have shut down again.
Yeah. Mm,
It's because you're not doing it from the right place. If you have done that from your heart center, that will stay open as long as you keep connected to your heart center. But it will stay open. And if you want to do exercises subsequent to that, then yeah, great. Yeah. Like, or on any aspect of your health, whatever you want to do, they'll all work from that point, but they have to come from that springboard of your heart center.
mm.
Because anything is possible from there. That's where you change your life, is in your
Yeah,
heart center.
absolutely.
What about you?
Yeah, talking, Rob, about open up pineal gland, open up pituitary gland,
Yeah.
as in crown chakras
Yeah.
and other energy centers. I just call them energy centers
Yeah.
now. Some of the chakras are getting a bit where we're a bit redundant actually, how we're understanding them. But what I tend to see when I look at what people are trying to do, when you don't work with heart, it's harder to discern. So what you're doing is, if you've not done any work with heart or with trying to clear out, well, not trying, but clearing out all the energy and all the work that we've been getting you to do, clear that, clear all those blocks and limiting beliefs that come from patterns in the frequency. What you might get if you're in a low vibrational frequency energy, what you might just do is only get those guides that are a low vibrational energy, not the
Mm.
guides that are of benefit. Not there might be malevolent guides. Or you might just get you might be able to start channeling. Brilliant. But are you channeling the right guides? Because there's lots of guides now out there. There's lots of spirits out there. There's lots of entities that are coming on the bandwagon and seeing that people aren't doing the work. They're actually just seeing them as low energies. And you do, you just may get some of those. And more than anything, it just takes you off the wrong path and doesn't get you anywhere. And also people are just getting dreams, within dream state. Uh, Malevolent energies coming to them. And I don't want to, that you see, this is a thing about if you're working with heart space, you wouldn't be triggered and
Yeah,
you wouldn't be in fear. So this is not to be in fear. If you work with your heart, work in your heart space and do all the work to clear out anything that's triggering you, anything in fear. Right now, if I've told you about all the low entities, me and Rob still, will see low entities in myself and others, and you just, because there's all new ones coming out, there's all ones at varying degrees of frequency and vibration. And it's just a case of when you work with heart space, you can use this to discern. So what you're doing in your heart space, we've said before about bringing in the love vibration. When you go to heart space and you heard what Rob was saying about the going into your own universe, it's this love vibration is beyond human, is what I want to say.
yeah,
It's not just a sort of, love frequency that we have as an emotion even. It's a, all consuming energy. Even I want to even say almost like another entity that the benevolent guides will just show us, they'll shower us with that love, and then you can understand it. When you just are showered in love in that frequency, any low entities just can't attach themselves to you. They
yeah,
don't understand that. They just go away. So that's, you can see how profound it is to work with heart space. The other thing with working, in your heart space, this is absolutely where you can connect with soul. You can connect with your higher self. You can connect with source. And then we'll say a bit further that you are your soul, you are your higher self, you are source, because you're that fractal, you're that little human that's the fractal of higher self, of soul, of source, that you then, when you work in the higher realm, so when you go to your heart space, it's looking into your higher aspects of you, that high, so higher self is just the highest version of you, if you want to look at it
yeah,
like that. People will have other descriptions. That's absolutely fine. Rob and I were talking earlier about it's okay to have differences in how we want to heal. Absolutely.
yeah.
But I think everybody now is talking about working with the heart space because when the guides are showing us how we do this, I'm just going to, I'll just explain in my, how I've experienced it and how I won't do anything else now but that as my sort of first port of call, as my
Mm.
first process when I'm connecting with guides. And it can be so quick. Once you get used to it, it doesn't have to be a big process. But a few years ago, the very first time I really started connecting within in terms of how the guide was showing us and worked with heart space as a portal. If you can imagine this within you being another portal. And again, no fear about this. There are portals all over our body, large and small. There are even physical portals. Even the digestive system has what we
Mm.
has what I would class as a portal in it. So, there's nothing to fear there. So if you imagine the heart as a etheric portal, my first experience was I connected in And all of a sudden, I heard like a popping sound in my body, within my body, and I was suddenly thrown back. My whole body squashed up, and I was thrown back backwards, and went down what would feel like a tunnel, but it was spinning. If anybody's ever seen those sort of in set and fun games and things for fun fairs, like a spinning, different multicolored. That was it, blues and purples. That was exactly what it was. I just happened to see that. And all of a sudden there was another pop. And it was as if I was suddenly suspended. I'd stopped immediately, suddenly suspended. I had no body. I had what I felt was eyes, but realized it was my consciousness. And I just looked down, no body, nothing. And I looked outwards and I realized I was looking inwards, and I was just my inwards, my inside my body. I am just a whole universe. Oh my goodness, I am a universe, and it's infinite. And that's how I realized what Rob was talking about earlier. There's no limitation. At that time, you have that absolute knowledge, that knowing that there is nothing. Nothing matters. I'm not my ego. I'm not my mind. There's no identity. So there's money doesn't exist. The life I have down there as a little human at that moment, that one moment in time, doesn't even exist. So you can also call this your 0 point. When people talk about 0 point, quantum field, unified field, to me, or the universe, that's what we're talking about. You don't have to label everything separately, but just think of it in those terms as your 0 point. So this is the point where you can then go, hmm, what is it I do want when I'm a human, as a human right now? What do I need to heal? What do I, well, you actually up there, I'm going to say it's up there. It's inside, but it feels like it's up there because of our human understanding. It's hard to create that concept, that understanding of what's
Yeah.
really going on. But you can say, you can talk to yourself, you can talk to other versions of you. You start seeing the souls of your family, like anyone at all. You start seeing the souls of, whether it's your galactic family, many, many lifetimes on Earth, many, many lifetimes in other planets, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So do you
It's
ever?
the
Mhm.
enormity of the truth, isn't it?
Yes,
Of
it's
understanding
amazing.
how this particular 3D existence we have now is so
Yeah.
incredibly minute
Yes.
as part of
Yes.
this massive experience we're being offered.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we just need to use this one wisely and grow it and grow ourselves and become stronger in this energy because that's where we go back.
Mm.
And there's nowhere else to
Absolutely.
go when we leave this physical body behind, but back to that
Yeah.
hot space,
Yeah.
which some religions would call heaven. You can call it what you want.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is the place where everything is, all that
Mm.
is, exists.
And the place where nothing is, because
Indeed,
it
indeed.
just is
And,
that knowing. Yeah.
when you next carnate, you will come back from that space
Mm.
into another life form.
Mm.
And, what knowledge will you bring with you?
Yeah.
What have you
Yeah.
learned and what have you returned into the knowledge base that's out there, into that
Mm.
immense network of love and wisdom and knowing? What are you going to
Yeah.
take back when you go? And what will you bring back with you when you come back,
Mm.
be it here or somewhere else?
Mm.
Because you can
Yeah.
incarnate anywhere you like. You'll
Mm.
choose that when the time's right. It is an extraordinary space. I remember many, many years ago, and I won't say how many decades because that would be indecent. One of the first things I ever did was study transcendental meditation. And
Yeah.
I still
Amazing.
sort of use it, although almost unconsciously, because I don't say, oh, I practice TM, because it's a bit buzzy. But I
Mm.
realize how easily I use the techniques they taught me to get to heart space.
Ah.
Yeah, it was a very, very simple piece of visualization, which anyone could do, and that was dropping a stone into the ocean and watching the stone get tossed around, but as it sank towards the seabed, stillness, 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 till it lands on the seabed and there is complete stillness. And although back in those early days, I don't think I achieved heart center from that, I understand that's where they were trying to take me. And I can use that technique now to get there.
Mm.
just because the reference works for me. Everyone will be different.
Mm.
But everyone can access their heart space with real ease if they just
Mm.
trust it.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you are there and you do work there, and the work when you are there is instinctive, you'll know what to do. It impacts everything. It impacts your health, your stress levels,
Yeah.
how your life is working out for you, your direction forward, the validation of your purpose here. All these things start to
Mm.
work because they're coming from the right place. We're not looking for quick fixes, we're looking for the ultimate truth fix.
Yes. Mm.
So getting back into that space and changing, commanding, co-manding, doing it together,
Mm.
what you want. And I'm not talking about, I would like a bigger car,
Mm.
or I'd like a house with two more rooms. That's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. Talking about the fundamental truths of existence. Who are you and what is your truth?
Mm.
And what are you required to sacrifice onto the altar for me, the heart space is like an altar.
Yeah.
And I often visualize it as an altar is where I can go and I can put things and observe and work.
Yeah.
Sort of in a
Nice.
slightly tangible way, just helps me
Yeah, I
know
think
I'm
people
doing the
need,
work. Yeah.
yeah, I need it. I think sometimes people need it to be tangible as well,
Hmm.
don't they? Yeah, to understand it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't stay there. They're just one-offs, and that's where I am. And where I work, I don't have an altar per se, but I have an area which
Mm.
has special things on it for me
Yeah.
that creates the environment in which I like to
Mm.
work in my everyday life.
Mm.
And it's not dissimilar when you're down there. So this is my space.
Mm.
Nobody else's space at all, my space. And although I'm connected to this vastness, it's mine.
Mm.
And from here, I can do whatever I need to do with ease. It takes a
Yes.
long time to trust that,
Yes.
really does, because it seems almost too easy to be true, doesn't it? I'll
It
just slip into
does.
my heart space and I'll just manifest
And just
whatever I like.
manifest tomorrow.
Yeah. And in principle, it is that easy. But in activity or in practice, maybe it's not quite that simple.
Well, it's almost at that moment in your zero point in your heart space in the quantum field, everything is it is possible. There's that all knowing, all consuming
Yeah.
knowing. Oh, this is just it. So it's that, we can call it self-mastery because there's that when you get to that space. But I think the problem is it's then when we come back to being human, you come outside of that, leave your heart space, go off, and then you're doing all the 3D things,
Mm,
and then you become your ego and your mind, and you're looking on the outside to see all the things that are going on. And then we start to self-sabotage again. And that is the only reason I would say that we're not if we're not doing the work, it's the only reason why things aren't happening. If you think something's not moving forward for you, if you're stuck in something, something's not happening, it's usually to do, I'm just going to always say it's to do with, not having that self-mastery, not, creating the self-sabotage, creating resistance. The bits where we come to human and we're going, yeah, but I would done about that, but that, yes, but no, but I'll
mhm.
do it when this happens in the outside, I'll do it when. And remember, we're bringing you in because everything is created from your inside, from this heart connection, from then going into this part of this zero point of view, your quantum field, where then everything that you can see, you can even see it, you can grab it, reach it, it becomes tangible
Yeah.
in another way. So this is how we would say you can develop your psychic abilities. Yes, do the pineal gland, pituitary gland, but this is where the start of your psychic ability should be. This is,
Yeah.
where we want to. If Rob and I was teaching people psychic abilities, we start now with all this foundational work of heart space, which is why we're now giving you this, because we want everybody to have this. Everyone,
Yeah.
everyone should feel this. But yeah, that's really why we can manifest when we're up there. Then when we come back down, we've maybe just not done some of the work. We've not found some of the, what's blocking us. We've not looked at some of that energy work because we're constantly doing. We will clear something, think it's great, but then there's another layer to clear, and that's what we're learning as well. Yeah, and the other side of this is, making decisions from your heart space. So instead of making decisions based around your 3D world, and then people can't make a decision, and what you tend to see in people is people, if you just can't make a decision, but you're going, I wonder if I do this. Ah, no, I wonder if I do that. Ah, maybe I'll do the other. What happens is if you were to work with your heart space and start creating and developing your psychic abilities for yourself even, you would start to see that it's getting very heavy, that those decisions are getting very heavy in your energy space because you're seeing versions of you doing that one thing that you've made a decision on, but you haven't brought it into 3D. You've got another version doing something else. And so there's beautiful techniques and work you can do to bring all that back and actually go into your quantum field, go heart space, quantum field, and make the decision from there based on that. Then come out again into 3D, see how you feel about that, and see if there's any resistance to that. And that's another
Mm.
way of actually being able to, understand any limiting beliefs and any worries and any resistance to what you're doing, isn't it,
So
Rob?
it's very important when you do work in your heart center that you bring it back
Mm,
and don't just
yes,
leave it there and think, well, that's done then.
yes,
You
yeah,
have to bring it back and
yeah.
apply it into the real world.
That's the thing. Yeah,
And that's how you'll know, have I cleared this? Have I not cleared this? Do I need to go back and do a bit more work? So you can do everything in your heart center and have a really, really lovely personal time doing it. Then you can come back and not bring it and not use it.
mm,
And then
mm,
what is the point? How do you treat other people? What have you learned from your heart center? What trauma did you release that you don't need here? You need to recognize that you didn't need that trauma and that it's gone.
yeah, yeah. Mm,
So it's like with any work, there have been hundreds of ways over the years of doing
yes.
um, good stuff on yourself, alternative ways of doing things. And there are libraries of books out there and all sorts of ways. But I think we are now arriving at the point with the guidance we're getting now, and the downloads we're being given, of just how simple this all is and how we've overcomplicated everything and broken it
Yeah.
down into little understandable chunks. And that's grand because that's our trajectory that's got us to this point now, where we can move on from little tiny bits of work on different areas and go, this is one thing.
Mm,
That
mm,
buzzword holistic, a lot of people don't like
mm.
it. And I do like it because it says what it is. It is the
Yes.
whole. You're treating the whole in
Yes.
one place. And the place to do
Mm,
holistic work is in your heart center.
yes, definitely.
And from there, the work will carry on as long as you carry it on.
Mm.
So don't go in, don't do all this lovely, warm, fuzzy work, and then go, right, I'm finished. I'll go put the kettle on now.
Yeah.
And just forget about it. You've got to carry it with you,
Yeah,
carry it
definitely.
into your life and just love the knowledge you've gained.
Mm,
And see how you interact with people. Is it changed? Is it different? How's
mm.
your positivity level? Do things bother you as much as they used to? I would find myself very, very transformed in terms of everyday things and irritations. They now simply don't bother me
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're irrelevance. And but that I had to clear them back in the heart space.
Mm,
So it goes from little tiny things to the mega things, to that huge universal truth of who you are. So there's tons of work to do, and you can go back there all the time and just have the best time working and
mm.
clearing and helping because you can help from there. You can do a lot of work from that point for other
Yeah.
people, other energies, yours or not. So it's so beneficial on so many levels that I think it's foolhardy not to do it, not to try it, because here is this amazing resource. It's yours, it's your birthright. So why are you not claiming your birthright? This
Mm.
is where you come from, this is where you will go. You don't have to wait. You can go there now. And it truly is extraordinary and transformative. That's me.
Yeah, I think that's a lovely place to end,
Mm.
actually, Rob. I think
You
that's
think?
great. So the challenge, yeah, the challenge this week, I'm feeling right now, I think we're going to change it actually. I think the challenge
Right?
this week is actually just allowing keep working, going into heart space, but then bring that back into 3D
Yeah,
because what we've done so far is to go spend a few minutes in a day, spend 5 minutes in a day working with heart space, and then people will just be trying to get into the heart space and working on that and not realizing that you can come back into 3D, have your, be your ego, be your mind and your identity, but continue to think about heart space. And it's because it's just reminded me with what Rob was saying. This is where you can help release some anxiety, some stress here, because the heart space allows us to see things with a different perspective. So it's about going out into the outside world as we would see it, and even just going driving. Driving is something because we know we have this thing in our head, we know it's dangerous. We immediately go into flight or fight. So this is where we get road rage and all sorts of things. And even ourselves, I've heard people when we talk about, oh, that person cut me up and I'm so angry about that person, I bibbed at them. What about working with heart space, having all your senses with you, all your 3D senses working with you and just going, I'm going to drive today and I'm going to just notice. I mean, it's autumn at the minute. Notice the beauty. I mean, I've noticed the trees are just absolutely gorgeous, more this year than ever. I think it's just because as your perception gets higher, as your psychic abilities get higher and higher, you notice the trees and you notice how they're talking to you, even from within the car, the things are saying. As Rob said, they know what they're doing. They've got all the knowledge through the mycelium. We are not using our mycelium to connect with people in the right
yeah,
way. We're using it to do all the bad things, to to think about all the negative, all the bad things. It's something else I've been talking to somebody else about, is that we are programmed to think the worst because we're programmed to think of danger.
mm,
So we don't need to do that now. We don't need to run from the saber-toothed tiger, of course. So we can start thinking about all the good things. So that's the first one, is when you're in the car. Are you using, your heart space to just look at the outside world and use it for the rest of the 24 hours that you've got in the day, or at least for 12 hours.
yeah,
And when you're asleep, it's a different thing. There's some lucid dreams you can do and all sorts of things. But I think for now, just think about how are people reacting to you, and are you still being triggered to, for them? If so, go and work with the heart space, go and do your meditations on your own, work into heart space, but then allow yourself to understand that you have to bring that out into 3D, and you may have to even change your perception on it. And you usually will when you
mm,
know that, none of this is real. This is about changing reality from this complete reality where we think everything should be negative. This is what the false matrix, this is what we continue to say about the false matrix, that, open up to a beautiful new, more organic matrix, that the world is a better place. Not to say we're just talking positive, but we've got to make a start in doing that. And it is about all changing perspective from the heart space.
yeah, I think so. And right now the world is in such an extraordinarily
Mm,
perilous point
mm,
that people are stressed, really, really
yeah,
stressed.
they are.
The American election has caused massive
Mm,
shockwaves, not only in America but around the world.
mm,
The rise of the right all over the place is frightening to a lot of people. Use your heart space to help you
mm,
deal with it. Don't have to carry the stress with you all the
yeah.
time. Go down to your heart space and just look at the actual reality of what is true, and just
Yeah,
reclaim your sovereignty down there,
yeah,
and just let the fear go, because it won't help you, really won't
yeah.
help you. And if you can wean yourself off YouTube videos that are full of gloom and doom and horror,
Mm, mm,
it just will ease your life in all ways. So much you can do in your heart center just on a daily basis
yeah.
to make your life just less angsty and more
Mm,
comfortable and
mm.
manageable. And like you said, go for a drive and look at the autumn colours. I don't know up in Yorkshire what they're like. Here in London,
Amazing.
lovely this year for the first time in a
Amazing.
while, actually.
Mm,
The wood across me that I can see over the top of my screen is the oaks are turning a really beautiful gold right now
yeah.
in full sunshiny weather. And it is just gorgeous. And I
Yeah.
will go for a walk there later
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah. What, have a
just
walk with
connect.
your heart space. Yeah.
Oh,
Anything.
if
Go
you,
out,
you know,
walk the
if you aren't
dog.
a driver, take the dog for a walk, just go for a walk
Mm.
yourself, get on the
Mm.
bus, whatever you want to do.
Go and meet a friend,
Yeah.
and work with heart space in your
Mm.
perspective. Is it a friend that always talks negative? It's quite, I always find it good fun actually, because you can kind of shut that off and you can still listen to a friend and
Yeah.
you know, be of help to them without having to take on, a lot of people are anxious because they're taking on other people's stuff,
Yeah.
other people's issues. And this is
Absolutely.
where you learn that you don't have
Yeah.
to. This is the start, the heart space is the start of knowing that actually I don't have to take on that person's issues, but I can be a good friend and help them. It's not about, telling them to be positive. It doesn't happen like that. Just allow them to talk, and you'll find very naturally you can say things where they'll suddenly, you're starting to change their perspective without them being triggered as well.
Yes.
There's so many things you can do. This is how we learn to be mentors and work
Yeah.
with clients
Yeah.
as well. So I think that was, I think that feels like a good challenge that just seems to have been downloaded, that just take this, one step further. Instead of just doing it for 5 minutes, make it your day. So we're not going into heart space, meditating and going into feeling the quantum field in that way. We're working with it, grounded, totally grounding ourselves into our 3D reality, but we're going to do it just from this different arena. It helps ego and mind. It helps you to remove yourself from the chatter, the mind chatter, that it's not real, that not that the mind chatter isn't real.
Mm.
It's just reminding you of all the bad things, whereas the heart space will remind you of all the good things and just help you to calm down a bit.
Yeah.
So I thought it was quite a good challenge for everybody, Rob, this week.
Absolutely. And it
Just to,
goes
yeah,
it goes back, doesn't it, years ago when we were talking about, unplugged from the matrix if it's not your
yeah,
matrix.
yeah,
And that's where you do
this
it,
is
is in
what
your
we're
heart space.
doing. Yeah,
This isn't for me. I
exactly.
want to be there.
Mm,
So go
mm,
there.
yeah,
Easy.
yeah, easy peasy
Yeah.
when it's like that. Okay, on that note, hope you've enjoyed it. We do appreciate you listening to us and
We do.
and watching us. So bye for this week.
Bye now.